Welcome back to another video. Today's going to be a quick one, and we're going to be replacing the battery on an Apple Watch Series 7. This is the 41mm. There's a few different things that change from the older generations of Apple Watches to that one, so I wanted to show you the whole process, so let's get started. Alright, so here we've got the Apple Watch. This is Series 7 41mm. And today we're going to be doing a battery replacement. As you can see, these batteries are nice and small, but so is the watch. And they're not too complicated to get into, so I'm going to show you how to do it. To do this, we're going to want a couple things. We're going to want a thin, flexible pry tool and a thin piece of plastic. This is an OCA protector sheet. And right on the inside up next to the power button, there is a flex cable for the display, so we need to avoid that. So I'm actually going to go onto the other side, and we're going to gently wedge down all the way down to the frame, and we're going to put a little bit of tension on the pry tool, and then I can take the edge of the plastic and wedge it on in there, and using that pokey corner, I'm going to poke through the adhesive, and then once I get through it, I can drop the pry tool and carefully slide. We're going to be cutting that adhesive. Put the pry tool back in and start to pry up, and you'll see that the screen should start to lift. And we need to be a little bit careful as we go around the corners. We're not damaging the display, but luckily this has kind of a plastic bezel on the display that makes it somewhat difficult to damage the display. We still just need to be careful. And I'll work the plastic around the sides. And as we come to the side with the crown and power button, we need to make sure we're not digging the plastic too deep in and under the edge of the display, because we don't want to accidentally damage the cables. So I'll take the corner, we'll barely dip it under the edge, and I'll slide down the side. And then the screen can pop away. But we're not quite done yet. Need to make sure that we gently peel a little bit of the flex away from the display so that it can hang down over the edge, because this flex cable isn't held too well. Now you can actually see why this battery needs to be replaced. It's bulging. The metal itself is pillowed out. I could feel how that's like a ticking time bomb there. See how this one's nice and flat, and that one's got some good curve to it. Now to be safe, we could carefully peel and disconnect the display flexes. If you're also careful, we can do this without doing that. I'm also going to use some isopropyl alcohol, because on the back side of the battery there is some double-sided adhesive that holds down the battery. And as you can see here on the side, we've got a little ZIF connector for the battery flex, and looking down on the side you can see it. So the battery flex runs right there, so we can't damage it either. And along the inside of the battery there is also a flex cable for the crown and power button that is wedged in between the Taptic engine and the battery. So I'm going to gently pry from this side of the battery. But first we're going to get some alcohol down under the battery so that it'll start to loosen that adhesive, and I'll stick a pry tool down in there and give it a little bit of tension, nothing crazy. And if we're patient enough, that tension plus a little bit of isopropyl alcohol will pop the battery loose. And you feel it start to give, and there it's kind of popped free. And we just got to be gentle not to hurt any of the flex cables. So we'll gently pull it out, and then I'm going to take my tweezers. We'll lift the little sticker off the ZIF connector, flip up the little flap, grab onto the flex, and pop the battery out. And I'm going to remove all of the old battery adhesive. Otherwise, that battery is going to stick up a little bit more than it should. And this is the perfect time to go around the border of the display and the border of the frame and get rid of all of the old adhesive that holds the display and the frame together. Otherwise, we won't have a chance at getting a water-resistant seal when we go to close it up. Not to say that we would ever trust this watch to go diving or anything, but now that it's been open, but we want to give it its best shot at life around water. And one of my favorite tools to getting the adhesive off is this guy right here. It spins and grabs the adhesive. And just like that, that whole side is done. And that one, the only downside is you have to charge them every once in a while, or it runs out of battery while you're filming a video. And now it is ready for glue up, but obviously we still need to do the battery. So what we'll do, I'm going to peel off the little protector here. We'll line up the battery, flip up the little flap there, and then if you fold this cable around, you'll be able to insert it just like that. Make sure it's all the way down, slip down the flap, and then you can flip the battery back over, wedge everything in there, and not sure if this battery has any charge, but it looks like it does with one click. So we'll go ahead and wait for this to turn on real fast, make sure everything works, and then we'll close it on up. And this definitely was only lasting a few hours, and I can see why, just given how bouncy everything is. The underside is even more swollen. It's hard to see, but it's definitely bouncy. Alright, so everything, I'm mainly looking for the display and the touch to be working, and then it charges. I'll go test that in a second, but this watch is, at this point, ready to be closed. Alright, to close it on up, I'm going to be using some cold press adhesive. This stuff has the consistency of, I'd say, like, once it's dry, it's kind of like hot glue, where it's got some spring back to it. It's totally something you can reopen if you ever need to, but it's going to give it a really nice seal. It's definitely not permanent, as in, I've had some people think that cold press means like you're never going to be able to get it off. And now you can definitely get this off just like cutting through the OEM adhesive. So go ahead and get a nice bead all the way around, as consistent as possible. Make sure everything lines up as we can press it down, and we'll take a little bit of alcohol and clean up any potential squeeze out. And then I found the best and most convenient clamping method is just a rubber band a bunch of times. It's plenty strong. You can see I'm cutting off my circulation there to clamp and hold down the screen. So this watch is all done as soon as that cures. And that is how to replace the battery in an Apple Watch Series 7. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If there's something that you'd like to see in a future video, let me know as well. Thanks a ton for watching. We'll see you in the next video.